You sit down to tackle a difficult project. Almost instantly, a wave of tension hits your chest, and without even deciding to do it, you reach for your phone. You start scrolling. 10 minutes later, the temporary relief wears off. Guilt sets in. You tell yourself you'll try harder tomorrow. But the next time you face a hard task, the avoidance, distraction, and guilt happen all over again. We are taught to look at this pattern and diagnose it as a discipline problem. We assume we have weak willpower, or that our generation is hopelessly hooked on screens. We reach for these distractions because we are seeking an emotional escape, a way to distance ourselves from the specific physical tension that the work is creating in that moment. Trying to fix a procrastination habit with sheer force rarely works because it only addresses the outward behavior. It leaves the emotional engine driving the avoidance completely untouched. To stop avoiding your work, you have to look past the phone screen and see what happens inside your nervous system the moment a difficult task triggers that stress. When you feel overwhelmed, your amygdala, the small fear center deep inside your brain, detects a threat and shifts your entire body into survival mode. This survival response drains blood flow from your prefrontal cortex, the brain's center for executive function. As logic goes offline, your brain urgently seeks relief, defaulting to deeply wired habits and forming an automatic loop that bypasses logic completely. In a state of emotional overwhelm, your biology actively prevents self-control. Your inability to stay disciplined is actually a functional, neurological override designed to protect you. But why does your nervous system interpret a mundane task, like writing an email or going to the gym, as if it were a literal predator in the room? This hypersensitive trigger often starts in early childhood. If a child learns that expressing heavy emotions is inconvenient, or that big kids don't cry, their brain receives a clear message. Feelings are unsafe and must be suppressed to maintain approval. To maintain safety in that environment, the developing brain learns to treat emotional discomfort as a signal to shut down or retreat. This wired-in avoidance doesn't disappear in adulthood. It simply shifts its target. Now, the minor friction of a difficult project trips that same ancient alarm, signaling the brain to seek an immediate exit. When you struggle with procrastination, you are confronting a defense mechanism that was once your primary way of staying safe. You can intercept this stress response. By using a specific 15-minute biological reset, you can break the avoidance loop and restore your intentionality. For the first 3 minutes, you have to physically slow down your breathing. Inhale through your nose for 4 seconds, and then exhale for 6 to 8 seconds, while making a gentle humming sound. The vibration physically stimulates your vagus nerve. As this pulsing wave increases, it chemically lowers stress hormones. Exiting fight or flight allows blood to return to your prefrontal cortex. Emotional regulation and executive function return to normal, stabilizing in the green zone. For minutes 3 through 8, take a pen and paper and perform a raw brain dump. Name your specific fears and emotions out loud. Putting a label on an emotion significantly reduces its psychological intensity. Then, for minutes 8 to 13, ask yourself one diagnostic question. What do I actually need right now? You might discover you don't need more productivity. You might need brief rest, better clarity on your first step, or permission to do it poorly. This sequence neutralizes the biological threat response and identifies the root discomfort, successfully bypassing the reflex to escape. The final 2 minutes are for cognitive reframing. Sit still and actively visualize the version of yourself who takes intentional action despite the discomfort. See how that person thinks and responds. By doing this, you are casting a vote for a new identity. You are using your restored logic to choose an intentional response over the old automatic habit. Because we process tens of thousands of thoughts every day, using this repetition consistently allows you to replace your old autopilot response with a new intentional default. True self-control is achieved by mastering your emotional state so completely that the desire to escape simply vanishes, putting you permanently back in the driver's seat of your own life.